Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another delightful discussion on Minecraft, on all things well-being. And it is my honor and privilege today to continue to support and encourage all of you to become the boss of your brain. I work at it every single day because it is true that we are what we think. And wow, does this apply today? So I forget if I introduced myself or not. Okay, this is Kimberly Quinn, and I am here to have a discussion today, which I'm thrilled about, on scarcity mindset. Mindset is everything, as we know. And we've talked about growth and fixed mindsets and all different sorts of mindsets. And when we're cultivating a lifestyle of positivity and optimal life satisfaction, well, we need to kind of understand that it's all here. We've talked about it, right? Become the boss of your brain, basic Minecraft foundation. And the scarcity mindset is a biggie. And this is true, 365 days plus leap year, although it seems a little more kind of in our faces when it's the holiday season, because we become overtly aware of who has and who doesn't have, right? There's all the pop-up stuff and people walk around with shiny bags, and I'm thinking of the beautiful Fifth Avenue in New York City with the gorgeous windows, Macy's in particular, that's just beautiful. Yeah, that's right in our face. And then we've got so many people in such a rough situation that that the blanket is pulled off even more during the holidays, because it's so out there with all the ads and the advertising and the discussion about it and all the songs on the radio, all of it, right? Where family is being marketed, and people are just more aware of abundance and lack thereof. Okay, so scarcity. We're also going to get rid of a myth. So because people often think of economics, right, when we talk about scarcity, because we have very finite financial resources, and I mean everybody, even the richy riches, who have billions, even though it could take them 20 lifetimes to spend it all or more. In reality, it's still finite. Money has an end. It just does, even though it doesn't seem like it for certain people. And versus our infinite needs and wants. And so when those don't match up, we are in a place of scarcity. So, and it's a mindset, because we have the poverty we're going to talk about, and also other types of mindsets. And so scarcity is such a huge deal, and why we're talking about it with this Minecraft video channel is that it because it captures the mind. It's so important to know. So people often think that it's solely based around money and finances and stuff. And I want to be super clear that I'm not diminishing in any way the effects of severe poverty. In fact, it's the opposite. We're actually going to talk about how, might take me 2 videos, but how actually even more extreme than the other types of scarcity that is. But that it also scarcity includes other types of not having enough. And when we are in a place where our needs and wants aren't met, we feel like we're struggling, and we're not happy, right? And so I want to talk about first. Oh, and I got to give a shout out to people. I actually misplaced my book. I probably didn't maybe I loaned it. I don't know. But there's the scarcity book, which is so good. It was given to me years ago. The Community College of Vermont just gave them out to all the instructors, and that was so good. Especially given the demographics of the specific site where I taught. It was really beneficial, and beneficial for my life. Wait till you hear all this stuff. Okay, so Cindy Mulanathan and Elda Shafir, and I apologize to those 2 authors if I did not pronounce their names correctly, which I probably didn't. And all of this is not coming from them, though I want to give credit where credit is due for the ideas, because the whole book is great. I mean, it was just not one bored second reading that book. Okay, so there was, obviously everybody knows what happened in World War II. And when the Americans and British went to, they zoom in at the end there and tried to free the remaining prisoners who had survived, there was obviously a huge, overwhelming starvation situation. And so there's plenty of food. The Allies went in there with plenty of food. That wasn't it. The concern was how to feed people who are right literally on the verge of maybe not making it another day even, and not to overwhelm the bodies, and how to, so all these physiological concerns with how to feed people when they had gone to that extreme place of starvation. And so that was, though that was more of a physiological concern, an important experiment came out of there, one of the famous hunger experiments that University of Minnesota did. And the University of Minnesota was after taking it past the physiological, which is obviously enormously important, and taking it further, because way more happened than the body starving. Also, the mind was starving. And so, in the University of Minnesota, they took very healthy male participants who agreed, they signed up for it, to be starved to the point that there wouldn't be any lasting damage on the body, but basically bringing them right down to that edge of no damage to the body, but you're taking in ridiculously low number of calories. And I forget, I think it went on for several months. Don't quote me on that, but it went for a while. And it started out and they're like, okay, I'm hungry, and then it got super serious. And the men, their behavior changed. They got very annoyed when when the food that was coming wasn't there fast enough to service. They became very protective of their food and would kind of like hover over it. Any food, dislikes or aversions, like, they don't like spinach, didn't care anymore, just would take whatever. And they became very, 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 very over-focused on food, which makes sense, right? Now, what's wild, and this is where this again, then we're going to take it to other forms of scarcity too, is even after that was done in the experiment, they had become, or towards the end of it, and then some, they become also, their conversations were all about food. They talked about, maybe starting a restaurant business. They were talking about, when they formerly had a whole other plan, getting into agriculture. They were like obsessed with menus, comparing food prices. I mean, there was something in there, this is in the scarcity book, about when they went to the movies, they would only focus on scenes that had food in them. The brain had completely just shifted mentally and captured that part because it was in starvation mode. And then even afterwards, they stayed focused on food to that degree, with pictures and movies and menus and things. Just became obsessed. And this is so important to really understand, because it has a purpose. When we are in a scarcity place, it's kind of the mind's way of saying, okay, self, this is an all hands on deck. Oh, some ice just fell off the roof. I'm at my beautiful office in Champlain, and it's just beautiful, and there's a lot of thumping because of ice. Anyway, so when we're in this scarcity mindset place, it's an all hands on deck situation. So it has us kind of like getting this tunnel vision on focusing on that need. So now, though that can be efficient because that's like a survival thing, the bad thing is we can't really shut it off and on as we choose. It doesn't work that way. So we could be, we have plenty of food and the other things we're going to get into, and yet it affects us at work and our relationships, all kinds of things. Okay, so that's the basis for what we're talking about. Might have to be in 2 videos. We'll see what happens. Okay, so what a lot of people don't understand, that scarcity isn't just about, and again, I don't mean just about having basic needs yet met and poverty and stuff, but it goes bigger. So here's another example. During the Rona recently, like we were in the throes of it, March 2020, when the world closed down, everybody panicked and raced to the stores, and everybody's grabbing toilet paper. Well, of course they were, and guess what? It wasn't about the toilet paper, because it went right back to and stirred up people's scarcity mindsets, and they didn't have to all be because you grew up in poverty. That is certainly a strong force, but there are lots of other ways to have scarcity. People who are over busy have a scarcity of time, and they overwork, and there's also reasons people stay in that situation. Also, there is a scarcity of love, a scarcity of self-esteem. When you didn't get, you're love deprived. We talked about that. I had some love in my life, just not as much as I needed. So there's a spectrum with it, right? So hence the overdoing it at Christmas. We talked about that in the last video for me. And so the toilet paper thing was way bigger than a poverty situation. People were in a scarcity mindset for all sorts of other reasons. And the thing that we also need to get is that we're in this scarcity situation. We don't, in our relationships, we don't have enough love, so we're honed in on just getting those needs met. We're over busy in a time crunch to get a project done, so we hone in there. Well, here's the thing: when we're in that sort of scarcity, fear-based mode that we're usually not aware of, it really, really gets in the way of basically everything else. Our relationships, our job performance, because it really throws a gigantic wrench in the executive functioning system, which is our planning, organization, impulse control, judgment, reasoning ability. And again, we can't just shut this on and off because we feel like it. It can get in the way of reading a children's book to a grandchild or a child. It can get in the way of work. It takes so much cognitive energy because it's a survival thing. And it also gets in the way of our creativity, our ability to focus. And I think this is definitely going to be a two-parter. So at this time of year, when scarcity, though it's obviously there the other 11 months, let's say, right? It's there. It's just like the blanket is pulled off of it a little more, at least in the States, during the holiday season. It seems like to me it's just way more overt, and to really, I guess, become aware of our own scarcity mindsets. We're deprivation based and we're shame based because that's coming from a place of scarcity, a place of lack. And then those who are in a scarcity mindset due to a poverty situation, to really have that awareness. And also loneliness. That's a big scarcity. And we talked about, not having enough people, not having enough love, not having enough human connection. When we're in that, it's an all hands on deck for those who are lonely as well. And it's just so important for us to have this awareness, because once we have the awareness, we have the responsibility. Not meant to be preachy. I'm not that person. I'm trying to bring some awareness to that. The scarcity thing is way, 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 way bigger than the part of not having enough. It's a complete change of cognitive wiring that continues to get in the way of us living our best lives. For sure, executive function, creativity, the focus, our ability to be free and generous with giving and receiving love, it gets in the way huge. And also remember that the flip side of that, which is abundance, right? We often get stuck. This goes along with the scarcity mindset as well. We get stuck in thinking that that abundance is finite. No, it's not. It's infinite. We talked about the pizza thing, and this time of year we can even, feel guiltier when good things come our way too. And the thing is, abundance is not finite. It's infinite. And when we also get stuck, because the scarcity mindset has us getting stuck. Again, whatever it is, if it's financially, if it's deprivation based for love, self-esteem, and we're lonely, we're over busy, and we're working and making a cycle. And also, there's also the reason diets don't work actually too, because it's keeping ourselves in a place of deprivation. And guess what? Deprivation attracts more deprivation. It's why, for the most part, diets don't work. And obviously, culture and upbringing and all that stuff plays into it. Although scarcity is this gigantic force that's really driving and the unconscious drives the bus. The scarcity mindset is really behind all this stuff. And so it's very, very important to realize and try to shift out of that, which is gradual, going to take a while when we've been locked into it. But the first thing is understanding that it's a thing. Because in order to attract more abundance into our lives, we've got to reprogram ourselves, because abundance attracts more abundance, and lack attracts more lack. We say words like, I want this, or I want that. When we say I want, it implies I don't have it, which means I lack it, which attracts more lack. It's very, very important. Mostly this first video, I think I'm going to do another one. It might not be the next one. I don't know, I have to think about it. But right now I just really wanted to bring about the awareness, because I think so many people don't realize why the toilet paper flew off the shelves during the Rona. It wasn't just because of money. That fear came from all kinds of other places, from all kinds of other childhoods. And so the scarcity mindset is much more broad than that. Okay, this is a good place to wind it up. This is Kimberly Quinn signing up, jeepers, signing off from my adorable, very fun, upbeat office at the beautiful Champlain College campus. And that's it. Have a mindful day.